of those jihadists think that they are the sword of God on earth, that they are actually manifesting the punishment against the Jewish people for being disobedient. And this is why, I personally questioned the belief system itself. I thought it was not enough to work in counter-terrorism, shooting down terrorists or trying to stop a suicide bomber before they reach their target. But after 10 years of this operation, I came to realize that we were fighting a ghost.
Mossab, a former Muslim terrorist, was asked to explain the mindset of the Islamist religion, and he revealed shocking things no one would like to hear. Below is the conversation.
Can you explain the mindset just for anyone watching this from America or anywhere else in the West? What makes somebody want to strap on a suicide vest and walk into a public place and detonate?
He's been conditioned in a climate of a propaganda that is anti-Israel, anti-West, anti-infidel, anti-anything that is non-Muslim. In the Quran, that Allah hates the Jewish people for being disobedient. Hence, many of those jihadists think that they are the sword of God on earth, that they are actually manifesting the punishment against the Jewish people for being disobedient. And this is why, I personally questioned the belief system itself. I thought it was not enough to work in counter-terrorism, shooting down terrorists or trying to stop a suicide bomber before they reach their target. But after 10 years of this operation, I came to realize that we were fighting a ghost, because we did not deal with the belief system. And this is why, when I go publicly and say Islam is a problem, because whether if you believe that your reward is a 72 virgins in the afterlife, or you believe that you are blessed by the same entity in this life, you still believe in a hypothetical God which does not exist. But this God is actually your drive in life. So this is your delusion. And in my opinion, anyone who believes in such a God have a mental issue, and they actually should be in a mental asylum. But when you have 2 billion people like this, it becomes a majority, and it becomes the agreeable. It becomes a certain truth, even though it's just a projection of human ego. So, as someone who lived this delusion and broke free, to be delusional is something. To be a delusional suicide bomber is something else. Now, everybody can have whatever dream, they want to have in reality.
When asked to explain the mindset that compels someone to strap on a suicide vest and detonate in a crowded space, Mossab emphasizes the multifaceted nature of this phenomenon. Every individual is different, and there are so many dimensions, he states, pointing to personal, political, and ideological influences. However, he identifies ideology as the most powerful driving force. At the heart of this ideological framework is the belief that acts of violence can be justified by religion. Mossab describes a suicide bomber as someone who is not only motivated by hatred for perceived enemies, such as Jews and infidels, but also by a deep-seated sense of victimhood. This victimhood is cultivated through a relentless barrage of propaganda that paints the West, particularly Israel, as the oppressor. It creates a narrative where violence is seen not just as an option, but as a righteous duty. Mossab elaborates on how individuals are conditioned to see themselves as victims of an unjust world. He's a Palestinian, he's got a cause, he's living the victimhood, he explains. This worldview is reinforced by societal narratives that glorify martyrdom and frame violence as a legitimate means of reclaiming dignity and agency. The combination of envy, jealousy, and a desire for revenge further fuels this mindset, creating a volatile mix that can drive an individual to commit unspeakable acts. The belief in a divine reward for these actions is a crucial factor. Mozab notes that many individuals genuinely believe they will go straight to paradise for their sacrifices. This notion is foreign to many in the West, but for those engulfed in this ideology, it serves as a powerful motivator. It creates a sense of urgency and purpose, transforming the act of violence into a pathway to eternal bliss. I believe we need to pay more attention to the role of Islamic mysticism or Sufism in this context. While often portrayed as a peaceful, mystical branch of Islam, many Sufi orders have historically been involved in militant jihad. The concept of fana annihilation of the self in God can be twisted to justify suicide attacks. The influence of Wahhabism and Salafism in spreading this extremist mindset globally cannot be ignored. Funded by oil money, these ultra-conservative interpretations of Islam have been exported worldwide through madrasas, mosques, and online platforms. They promote a literal, ahistorical reading of Islamic texts that's particularly susceptible to violent interpretations. As Mozab reflects on his experiences, he questions the very belief system that underpins such ideologies. He argues that merely combating terrorism through military or law enforcement measures is insufficient. We were fighting a ghost because we did not deal with the belief system, he asserts. His critique extends to the broader implications of a belief in a hypothetical God that rewards violence and punishes disobedience. In his view, this belief is not just misguided but a form of delusion. Anyone who believes in such a God has a mental issue and should be in a mental asylum, he provocatively claims. This statement, while controversial, underscores his frustration with a worldview that has captivated billions. When such beliefs become mainstream, they can manifest as a collective delusion, shaping social norms and expectations. Mozab's insights raise critical questions about how to effectively address radicalization. He emphasizes the need for a deeper understanding of the ideological roots of terrorism. When I go publicly and say Islam is a problem, he states, it is not merely a rejection of the faith, but a call to confront the dangerous interpretations that have proliferated within it. The implications of his perspective are profound. If the ideological underpinnings of extremism are not addressed, efforts to combat terrorism will remain superficial and ineffective. Mozab advocates for a more nuanced approach, one that involves engaging with reformist voices within the Muslim community who reject violent interpretations of their faith. Mozab's revelations compel us to confront uncomfortable truths about the Islamist mindset. Understanding the complex interplay of ideology, victimhood, and belief is essential for developing effective strategies to counter radicalization. His call for critical engagement with the belief systems that drive individuals to violence is not just a challenge to the Muslim community, but to society as a whole. In a world increasingly polarized by fear and misunderstanding, Mozab's voice serves as a crucial reminder of the need for empathy, dialogue, and introspection. Only by addressing the root causes of extremism